Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
Now, here's your host, Ed Cohen.
Hi, this is Ed Cohen, your broadcast host on Global TV Talk Show. This is a service of globalbusinessnews.net. Now go to globalbusinessnews.net. It's free access, nothing to sign, nothing to buy. You'll see a variety of videos there and news and information and other helpful hints for the COVID pandemic world we're living in right now. Today is, what is today? Let's see, today is December 22, first day of winter, right? Oh, was that yesterday? Yeah. And our special guest today is John Q Khosravi. Have I pronounced that correctly?
Yeah, it's non-pronounceable in English, so whichever way you do it is correct. John Khosravi, I use either way interchangeably.
Thank you. And you're located in West LA, San Fernando Valley area,
I'm headquartered
for a long time.
Yeah, my office in Los Angeles near Santa Monica. I just moved up a little bit north in Encino, so just to get a bigger place and get out of the craziness. You know, LA is taken over, unfortunately, by homelessness and insanity last year. So I thought I'd move to the suburbs a little bit.
Yeah, it's a smart idea, not only for cleanliness and safety, but more space, especially if you're going to work from home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in Encino, which is kind of hilly, isn't it?
Yeah, we're on the hill next to the Skirball Center. So when I go out for a walk, it's a hike when I'm walking out up and down the street. I try to go walk in the afternoon. But you get more space. That's the main thing. And luckily, we moved right before the pandemic. And it was a godsend. Good idea. It was a little more expensive. My wife said, let's do it. I was like, I don't know. But now I'm like, well, that was the best idea ever. If we're still in Brentwood, we would have lost our mind being cooped up in the house for this long.
Okay, so Skirball Center is world famous is for eye research, right? And also that's right near the museum, isn't it?
It's near the museum. Skirball Center is like a Jewish cultural group. It's probably associated a lot of stuff. Whoever made it probably had a ton of money. And they have, like, I had my high school prom there, actually. I went to high school in the west of the valley, but they had it there. And then the Getty Center is a little bit south of there. And it's closed right now, but a beautiful place, top paintings and stuff like that. It's a world-class destination.
Yeah. Okay, this is very cool. Thank you. Okay, let's do a deep dive and tell me about the nature of your law practice. It's all about immigration, but nationality kind of thing, right?
Well, it's full service immigration to a certain extent. We always have colleagues that can help out, but no, I mean, I try to help mostly three types of people myself. Those who are getting married, really, those who get married and want to get a green card. Those who have extraordinary ability, and investors. So I tell my clients in consultation, I always say, I only focus on the happy areas of immigration law. If there's criminal history, deportation, asylum, all that stuff that unfortunately is very depressing. I have great colleagues who could handle doing that. I did that in my career at the beginning, and I realized emotionally it's too much for me to handle. So I just focus on this happy stuff and do concierge service to help people across. And throughout the process, I just love learning the law, and I love helping people in global mobility. It's just a fascinating historical topic, the movement of people. It's such an important thing. So I created, a educational program called the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox to train lawyers. And I've actually launched a nonprofit called the Migration Foundation. Still getting that up and running. I'm kind of busy, can't finish it up. But to help people in understanding out the movement of people, to help deal with, hatred towards the movement of people, all that kind of stuff. And just show it's in the nature of human beings, just like there's love, there's eating, there's breathing, there's migration. It's core of humanity is migration. And so to think about it differently. And these are the kind of things I like to just kind of use my bully pulpit to get out there.
Well, my background, of course, is Jewish all the way back. And so I remember, no, I don't remember, but I channel the idea of the Israelites relocating through the Red Sea into the promised land. And, that had to be the first relocation. But all the problems
taken away. There's so many different aspects of that story. Definitely. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that, just trying to be humorous about this, is that they didn't know where they were going. They had no maps. They had some guy with a cane and a lot of hair saying that he knows the way. So this is not quite like today's relocation business, but so tell me about your foundation. That sounds really interesting.
I started it. Yeah, I learned about how easy it is to start foundations. Like, okay, I could do something like that. Then I realized, there's a lot more work. But it's just to use all the marketing kind of techniques I learned from my law firm and the resources I have with all these attorneys I know and people I can help out to try to develop, libraries of information of people to understand what the history of movement of people are. I started editing videos. I have a team that edits videos about, famous immigrants in the United States and across the world who, really changed the world. Like, for example, we did an Elon Musk video. And they're short little clips that could go on these apps nowadays that are 15, 20, 30 seconds. But just to reiterate, like, listen, we're living amongst immigrants on deep levels, on every level. So this idea that they're the other, it doesn't make any sense. It's just like saying your brother is the other. That just doesn't make any sense. So try to combat these ideas and then, help people understand the stuff and kind of send them to you because nonprofit is just to give the ideas and send them to you for actual help on like how to technically do it. In particular, how to find a real estate agent because people come here, don't know how that works. What is credit? People don't understand how credit system works in America. They're afraid to get a credit card, for example, and they end up not building credit. And then they realize, I can't borrow money in a country that's all based on borrowing money as much as possible. So really putting them at a disadvantage. So really just trying to do some basic education, then feed them out with links to other people who could actually carry them the rest of the way.
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear you say that. So tell me about your trade magazine.
Yeah, that's something really fun. I'm going to start. It's going to be launching next month. And it's a trade magazine for immigration lawyers. And I've always been involved in training immigration lawyers, educating them continuously. So I created a group called the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox, which is a website and podcast series, all this kind of stuff, where we talk with immigration lawyers about what they're doing and, things with the news that are more technical because it just, especially on Trump, every second this stuff was changing. And so what I then decided, I said, I just woke up a couple of weeks ago and I said, I want to make a magazine. I just want to, now it's going to be an e-magazine at first, but to have it in written form and have contributors, all the people I've interviewed over the years that are immigration lawyers, write articles on their specialties so that other immigration attorneys can read it. Now, it's accessible to everybody, but kind of technical guidance on if someone is a victim of a crime, what kind of visa there is, how are investor visas being dealt with right now, all these different kinds of stuff. To our immigration lawyers to do it. And hopefully we have 15, 20 contributors in the first issue, hopefully launch it end of January, and then try to continue that momentum and just, help make on the legal side, a better practice because it changes under Trump, every few hours, the law changes. So anything we can do to help create better lawyers, the better it is.
Isn't that interesting? Wow. So tell me about your podcast. How long have you been doing that?
That was really fun. I was about 5.5 years ago. I started it when I started my own firm, went solo. I thought I'd do something just to be different and, stand out and develop a reputation because I was a young guy that just started his own. How can I get people to know who I am? And I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to just, I'm not a fly by night. And I just started it with that. And, it developed so many different relationships across the world and led to so many opportunities. One of my listeners, for example, was a professor at a Pepperdine Law School, was retiring. She was a listener. And when she retired, she recommended I take her position. So I became a law professor that way at that school. I also taught at Loyola Law School before that. And then all sorts of business and opportunities that and relationships developed from it. And just knowledge and so much of community that of people just reaching out saying, thank you. You helped me learn this, that. And I reach out and I learn from them. One of my listeners that I met 2 years ago was talking to me today about his business and about how he was doing Facebook ads. And I asked him, well, how do you do this? I've been trying to figure out how to do Facebook ads. And he just walked me through how he was successful in it. I was like, wow, for years he was listening. I was giving all this help. And then one phone call, he changed potentially again. I'm going to figure out how to do it now because I've been studying these ads and I couldn't figure it out. But he kind of gave me a roadmap of what to do. So that kind of stuff is gold, when people can help you like that.
So I don't do Facebook ads. In fact, I've been sort of ignoring it because it's not really business, but it can be if you know how to do it. So I'm going to be one of your students. I want to learn how to do that.
Yeah, his method is because I've seen all these courses and I've taken courses on YouTube and all this kind of stuff, watching people and paying people, and they have all these complicated stuff. But he essentially said, have a page, have people like it, and then follow up with them and stuff like that. Just put out material. And I'm like, oh, it's that simple? He's like, yeah, because the things that people are teaching online seem super complicated. You need a pixel here and you need this kind of group right here. I was like, oh man, it's overwhelming for me. I do a lot of marketing stuff online on all the social media channels, and everyone who views me and I teach it to the students like, wow, you're so technologically savvy and you know this stuff. I don't really, it just takes me forever to understand any of this stuff. I just know it's the future, so I have to get involved in it. But if it was me, I like to, I have a pen and paper to take notes in front of me right now. I like to write. All my books are written. I don't have an ebook. Yeah, exactly. If it was up to me, we'd be back into how it was, but I realize it's not up to me. They're going to run me over with this tech stuff. So it takes me 3 or 4 times as long to figure it out, but I just kind of put my head down and do it and try to figure itself out. And it's been working so far.
And now a word from our co-sponsors. Our programs wouldn't happen without the wonderful support of our advertisers. Here they are.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
Cube Monk, featuring the world's first smart cube. Track your goods with our advanced GPS system. Welcome to the future of moving and relocation at cubemonk.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by heirs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at heirs.com.
Insured Nomads provides protection and peace of mind with health insurance, travel insurance, group, or tailored insurance for the globally mobile. Visit us at insurednomads.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats. featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Hi, my name is Christine. I'm a nurse from the Philippines, and I got to know IAS through Worldwide Health Staff Solutions. And I want to thank IAS, especially to Matthew, for helping me get my car stress-free, headache-free. And so just want to show you the car that I got. So it's a RAV4 XLE 2020.
As an expat moving to the USA, relocating is exciting, but it can also be stressful. Getting a car, truck, or SUV for personal transportation is usually a high priority. That's where International Auto Source comes in. We make getting the vehicle you want for your work assignment or academic program easy, so you're ready to drive when you arrive. Our product specialists have helped over 50,000 expatriates with their personal transportation needs, making us the largest international auto retailer in the world. International Auto Source gives you flexible payment options to buy, lease, or rent a vehicle from the world's leading auto brands, arrange financing on a purchase or lease without a U.S. credit history, social security number, or driving record, get full insurance coverage, and get approved easily through our low-rate factory-backed financing programs. And because we're an authorized distributor of the world's leading automotive brands, our no-haggle prices are competitive, and the buying experience is hassle-free. We'll even guarantee your new vehicle will be ready the day you arrive. With over 20 years of experience in the global community, we are the vehicle experts for expats. We are International Auto Source.
This is under your headline of online social media expansion. So let's talk about video as like what we're playing with right now. Let me just circle back and tell you a little bit about me. For a very long time, our primary revenue source was producing live relocation training meetings, bringing together people, usually in a geographic market. Rather than global or people traveling to come to one of my events. No, I went into a market, whether it's New York or Dallas or Beverly Hills or downtown LA, it's two different markets. LAX, the third market. So, and then I find corporate HR people or corporate talent management people, relocation-oriented services providers, and sell tickets and some sponsorships. So across 2018 and 19 into January, February of this year, we produced about 60 meetings, and there are about 1,500 max in attendance. Some were 30 people, others were 150 people. So that all went away. Our last meetings were Feb 25 and 27 in New York, and then the 27th on Embassy Row in DC. Mm-hmm. So, and both were sellouts. And then I'll never forget, on the plane ride back from Reagan to San Diego, I think I was, in addition to the flight crew, I was like one of two passengers in this whole big plane. And boy, then you knew something was happening, And then, so that was it, Feb 27. And so my revenue base disappeared, dried up. And so I had to figure out, what am I going to do, So talked to producer Paul here, and because we've been doing radio shows, podcasts for 10 years, And he said, "Well, what do you know about Zoom?" And we both went, well, let's see. This one's free. Let's see what we can do.
When you did live programs, did you ever record them and sell the recording as a secondary revenue source or anything like that? Or is it all
Of course not. No, you know, had trouble even doing it myself, putting my phone on a tripod or something, and then I forgot to shut it off or something,
Yeah.
or I moved out of range, and so I just gave up. It was too hard.
Yeah.
So I went to just a brief story. So the last meeting I did in Silicon Beach in Venice was February 13th, and it was sort of like a lunch meeting, and it was at that hotel Irwin, right above Muscle Beach, and one of my speakers, my lunchtime speaker, was a venture capitalist, a guy who financed some film documentaries and branched out into some tech stuff, and he's done quite well. So he was our lunchtime speaker, and I had been trying to butter him up so he'd take a look at my business. And so right during lunch in front of everybody in the room, I says, "So I know you're not going to give me any money, but tell me why and tell me what I should do to further bootstrap, because I don't know how to grow this globally without franchising or licensing, and I don't know anything about all that, and I don't have the time to train people, and then there's a trust factor of who you're going to share all your secrets with." And so I said, "Oh my God," and then pandemic hit, and so he says, "You're doing real good. Go global now," and it's like, don't worry about making a mistake. Just start it. Use Zoom and get people to come on your show who would never ever get on a plane and travel to one of your programs. And they will do it because they'll sit in front of their screen and you could ask them questions. So learn how to be Johnny Carson, learn how to be a newscaster like in Meet the Press or something, and set it up that way. And find advertisers. The advertisers will come because of the people you're going to have on your program. You won't get rich, but you'll build something if you keep at it. And that was February 13th. And a month later, Paul Johnson and I started doing this. And so Google Analytics and their algorithm stuff, if you can believe all that, since January 1 through early December, they said 75,000 plus page views on the site, and most of it is due to the videos. And because it's been, that's like 4 times bigger than what it has been prior to doing Zoom. Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, video is a game changer, and it's always there. So I have like my podcast history, which I also posted videos on my YouTube page for that. All of a sudden, one random video from 4 years ago will get a jump, and I'll be like, oh wow, people just pick on that. So it's fantastic how this stuff works. It's just you gotta not be shy about being on camera. That's a thing that holds back a lot of people. I mean, you speak in front of people already regularly, so you're into that, but so many colleagues I speak with just are uncomfortable with hearing their own voice on a recording or seeing themselves.
Well, especially attorneys, they're afraid. They don't want to get stuck on something.
Yeah, that was a big thing. When I started my podcast first, I always recorded it. Even now it's recorded, then put out. But this year, when everything died down in March, I said, it looks like things are going to go bad, so I got to do something differently. And I started doing a daily live Q&A video where people would list questions I was answering. And if it was in the beginning of my career, I'd be hesitant to do that because I'd be afraid of not knowing the answer, saying the wrong answer. But at this point, I study this stuff so much, I either know the answer or I'm confident enough where I'll say, I don't know it, I need to research it without being afraid or looking bad. And so it served me well. And I went from every day to doing it to now just once a week because a lot of the same questions over and over again was driving me crazy saying the same thing over and over again. So just once a week, but it really developed things. So by the time this end of the year rolled out, I have a whole new audience of clients coming in that are from these videos that weren't there last year. And so it really just opened my mind up to, wow, like the internet is still, it's just beginning still. It's wherein probably if it was a kid, this kid is probably like 5 or 10 years old. He's not even a mature adolescent or a mature person yet. So there's a lot of room to grow here. It's like America when founders came. We have all the West Coast land still open, even though the East Coast, which is prime real estate, is already taken. There's still a lot of land.
Yeah, interesting stuff. So the Biden era begins, thankfully. And what do you think he'll do with immigration? Because he could do an executive order just like Trump did. But why not? I just say this as an outsider, but I've learned a lot because of the relocation business about immigration. There's so many people with tech skills that are in line to get an H-1B or some other kind of a vehicle. Why not just open it all up to people with a certain set of skills who are going to get jobs or start a business? They're not going to take jobs away from anybody else.
Well, I agree. But we have people that are completely disagree. And that's the nature of our democratic republic. There's people vehemently against that. And to change that up to get those numbers in, unless Biden declares an emergency and takes emergency powers, Congress has to act. And we'll see. It's been very hard. I think, immigration is one of those political subjects that they like to talk about for votes. But when it comes to actually doing anything, it rarely is anything you ever move forward. So I don't imagine much is going to happen to expend that political capital for Biden on this issue when there's all these other issues. I think same thing President Obama did is he put all his capital in healthcare and then just gave some small stuff for immigration and was kind of harsh on immigration, really. And I imagine Biden will be the same, but I could be surprised. I was surprised that, Trump talked a lot of game about being against immigration, but I didn't think he would be that competent in executing. And he was, of all the stuff that the administration is incompetent at, the one that was really good at was immigration for the most part, to really debilitate U.S. immigration. And it's been a doozy the last 4 years being an immigration practitioner. But we'll see. I mean, yeah, it's a big issue. And, if we go after tech stuff and say we'll make an exception for tech people, there'll be a group that says, well, what about the migrants at the border? There'll be another group that says, what about, this type of immigrant? And because immigration and just migration is so multifaceted because of the many faces that humans have in different jobs, the groups, the interest groups are so disparate and different and sometimes counter each other that it's really hard to make something cohesive about it to make it move forward. It's always piecemeal. And we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't like, these tech workers coming in, for example. There's a big audience that are against them taking our jobs kind of idea, even though tech workers create jobs because they're doing different things that's booming our economy. And something that everybody's talked about, I always like to talk about is on a global level, immigration is the best warfare tool we have because we're draining our rivals of their talent and bringing them here. So, I mean, when you look at Iran, my family's from Iran, every big tech company in Silicon Valley has part of their top 10 first employees as an Iranian national, and they usually have accents. And so they came here, and so if they're in Iran, who knows what kind of but their loyalties are with the United States. They're citizens now, and they're Pierre Omidyar, head of eBay, Google's top employees, number 5. Everyone you can mention has an Iranian at the top, and so it's kind of like, why not just bring him in here and let him know our culture and let him know how much, frankly, I think our culture is the best because we're so open and understanding of people. Even though nowadays with the things going on in the streets, people talk about America not being open society. Just the fact that you could talk about all the things they talk about and go in the streets and protest shows how different we are, because everywhere else in the world, you get a billy club to your head. They'll do that a little bit here, but not as bad as, these other countries. So I think immigration is a tool for freedom and to grow America and prosperity and to weaken those who rival us. So it's just a win-win in my book. But that's I'm not biased on immigration lawyer.
Yeah, and I'm in the PR business, and I believe that we need to be more competitive, and the tech-oriented people that are immigrants, they could, if they want, be teachers to everybody else. Because I believe that part of the new stimulus package that will be developed will contain huge amounts of money. I don't know how we're ever going to repay it, but
that's the question.
yeah, but huge amounts for reskilling upskilling, because there's so many people that don't have rudimentary tech skills that it should become a mandate, you know, in return for the government spending all this money on infrastructure, because that's sure as heck going to happen. But you know, with roads and rail and intranet and a new grid and more cybersecurity protection immediately, all this, you know, the top tier is going to take charge of all that. But to go forward, it needs massive reskilling, almost like it's the American flag and reskilling. You know, it's like, wow, you know, and you know, just imagine. I would imagine that the high schools or the community colleges, physically as well as online, will get probably free classes taught by professionals who will get paid by somebody, the government, or maybe they'll float bonds or something. But and then with a route to a new job, you know, it's almost like going to a trade school. You don't need a college education. You need to be trained in a skill that will make money. And I believe that it was going to be wide open, and I would push for that.
Yeah, I mean, we got to change things up. I mean, the way things are happening right now, we're going nowhere fast. And as you said, how are we going to pay back this money? We need people to produce new things, you know. And there's only so much money if you're doing sales, customer service jobs to make money. Really need new ideas, new production, and that's the way to do it. So we're in a really crazy time in the world. I mean, when you look at interest rates, never in the history of the world could I go and borrow this much money at this little rate for a house. I could borrow I could borrow $2 million for 30 years at a 2.8% interest rate. That's insane. Or I get zero interest. I have a zero interest credit card, $50,000 on zero interest credit card. They're gonna loan me unsecured credit. Where in the history of the world is that possible? So I don't know where we're gonna go with this experiment in expansionary banking, but hopefully in the meantime, we use that money wisely. I'm not very optimistic. I'm kind of pessimistic when it comes to government initiatives because so much incompetence and abuse and fraud. But on a one-to-one level, I think just people coming together like you're doing right here with your program and sharing these ideas and just trying to get people to think differently and to motivate them to think differently and seeing success as possible by doing something like this. I think we're doing our part to at least change some minds. As you talked about, going into video, something you would have done before. If other people could do that too and share their knowledge, both grow their brand and also share that information education and at a lower cost. You know, you used to have to spend so much money. I mean, your conferences, for example, there is a big value in doing it in person. That's a really big value. So there's no taking away from that. That has to come back. But to a certain extent, parts of the sharing of the knowledge could be done at a much lower cost without renting out a big space and all that kind of stuff and flying out speakers. We do it through Zoom. But again, there's always a place for in-person meetings. I cherish those kind of stuff, and just we can go meet and talk with somebody. That has to come back, and hopefully, you know, if something works out, these vaccines, that happens. But in the meantime, and as a secondary way, these videos are great for those who can't afford to come or fly and all that stuff. It's very important.
So, are you teaching now? You're a professor now?
Yeah, I retired, if you will, last semester. They start teaching on Zoom, and I found myself just talking in a room to myself with 30 faces looking at me, and it just wasn't as fun for me. What I do now is I have courses for lawyers. So if you're going to be like I have students who are lawyers for insurance companies, they're tired of defending the insurance company, they want to become immigration lawyers. I have a training program for that. I have a training program for lawyer marketing. I've training lawyers for law students who want to become immigration lawyers. So I kind of train people who are graduating or have graduated or are attorneys. I feel like that the information I give them is much more valuable than when you're in law school. And it's very important. I don't want to diminish, professors at law schools, but I think all the stuff I was teaching is hard for students to understand when they still have to, do the bar exam and then they have to find a job. All the technical stuff I would teach would not be kind of useless for them. So I'm like, I want to teach this stuff to people who could really use this and run with it. That's why I try to, I switched it up where I only teach and train lawyers now and recent graduates.
Yeah. Well, I've really enjoyed speaking with you. Is there anything that you want to add to this? And I do invite you to come back in after the first of the year, and we could comment on different things going on.
Yeah, I would love it. I enjoyed the time and great to meet you. I've like so many different things in the pot, but my immigration lawyer, if you needed some guidance on that, just send me an email. My website's jqqlaw.com. And if you just put in my name, John Khosravi, into Google, you'll see hundreds, if not thousands, of videos and audio stuff, and you'll find a way to reach me. I'm here. I'm here for you, Ed. I'll be happy to come back.
Good. Okay. Thank you very much. And Mele Kaliki Maka, and Happy New Year.
Aloha.
Ciao.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.